if you want to move towards coaching your students but are selling your lessons like traditional music studio lessons, that's exactly why your students on your schedule make you feel drained every single week. Because you have to ask yourself, is it really because you're teaching 4 to 5 hour days, or is it because you're not sure how to separate your teaching time and your coaching time? So you find yourself repeating the same lessons over and over again to the same students? Or are you allowing students to step all over your standards and boundaries? Are you fed up with your students asking to reschedule for the lesson for the third time this month? I felt the same way as well. So back in college, I was feeling burnt out with my piano studio. The students that I attracted didn't align with the students that I wanted, because either one, my marketing message didn't attract committed students or even repel non-committed students as well, or I was trying to transition to a new model that I didn't understand how to coach in yet. So I received an amazing message from Connie in our community, and she shared her experience creating her own hybrid model from the free trainings, right? So her hybrid model, it works for her because it still provides results to her students, the results that her students want. And she also is able to not have to teach the same lesson every single week. So what she realizes that her value is in giving the feedback, mentorship, and support to her students, not just the teaching. So in today's interview, I bring on Connie, and she's an amazing music teacher. She's going to be teaching exactly how she transitioned from the traditional private lesson model to her own hybrid model, so that she can grow her income while actually having the time to write her own music theory books as well. Where she's going to talk about how she structures her studio with a teaching model that committed students actually want to learn in as well, and also how she attracts a committed student roster that energizes her and like gives her that energy rather than drains it. So excited for you to check it out. I'll see you in the video.
I think the most interesting part about my story has been the progression, kind of where I was pre-COVID, and then how it just kind of kept evolving as needs arose, and as my internet was horrible and I had to create ways to, stay professional and stay on top of it. And then really what my passion has been since I started teaching was creating the teaching curriculum stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I know that's kind of odd, but I just love it. And so now I'm really into that. And I have like 20 books on Amazon. I've created a piano method book, and I'm working on an all-inclusive digital theory program from beginner through like college level.
Nice. And then your students just get all of that?
Oh yeah, and they're all the guinea pigs,
Nice.
to try it. So
yeah. So I guess for some context, can you just like describe what the studio looks like now? Because I know it's very different than what like a traditional studio looks like. And then we'll kind of like backtrack and talk about that transformation there. But like, what does it look like now? How would you describe that?
Amazing. Like the way it is now, if you had told the me 5 years ago that I'd be teaching this way, I would be like, that's ridiculous. It's just so different. But lots of free time, and I'm able to spend more quality time as students need it. What my schedule looks like right now is the students have, think of it this way, unlimited lessons every week. But we do that on the app Marco Polo, which is like a video walkie-talkie thing that goes back and forth. The students have an assigned day, and they get a little reminder in the schedule. All right, Tuesday's your lesson days. They can send in a recording anytime during the day.
Yeah.
And they know that I will send one back the following day. So it's great. We don't pack. They don't send like a 45-minute video. They send like one song, and then they'll send their technique and another one, and whatever they have ready.
Yeah.
But I'm just amazed at the time that it saves, because we're not looking for books. We're not getting set at the piano. When the video comes in, they're ready, hands on the piano, go, and then they push stop.
Gotcha. So is it all just using your curriculum? Do you feel like that's helped out a lot?
Oh yeah, mostly. My curriculum is designed for the littles, for like age 3, and I use it up to 8, and it just launches them off. It's a way I teach these little characters, and not only are they placed on the keyboard for example, Dave the Dragon is in the cave between the two black keys.
Okay,
And
okay.
he's
We've got
he's a
analogies
purple
here. I like
dragon.
that.
So he's a purple dragon, and he morphs later. Well, and up on the music on the staff, I have him sitting on the treble clef, hanging down on the tail, like it's a swing, because that's where the D is relative to the treble clef.
Yeah,
so they learn
that's
where all
nice.
these characters are in the treble and the bass clef, and then they come out onto the music, and then
Yeah,
the characters morph into round note heads,
yeah.
and
I'd
then
love to.
we add stems and.
I'd love to dive into like more of the pedagogy of like how you've changed, how you've taught and coached in this as well. But before we get into that, can we just like get a clear idea on what the offer is? Like, what do you provide? What's like the main thing that you you sell to your students?
I've called it the hybrid method, but my hybrid is the lessons with the video and then coaching.
Yeah. Okay.
So once a month we do a coaching call, and that's not anything with piano. They're not even at their piano. We set goals. We talk about their last goals and figure out how they're going to meet their goals.
Is this usually for like, what are like the age ranges for these students doing this program?
I still have the same thing. I just have a new one starting who's 3.
Oh, nice.
And I put them, and they're fine. I mean, the parents know that they have to help them in the beginning get used to the, the tablet and the things like that and getting logged in. And, but having the parents help is so much better. And they have all my instructions are on video. So I'm actually not having to repeat myself as much, and they're getting things done. So yeah, from 3 all through up through adult.
Nice. And like, are they, so they have the monthly coaching call and then lessons over Marco Polo, you said?
Yep. So, and the lessons are weekly. I mean, they send it in at least once a month, but they do have unlimited. They can send a polo anytime they get things ready or they have a question. And
nice.
Yeah. So they're getting all that they need, and it just really streamlines my time.
Yeah. So is it like, so in the coaching call, are you like, how do they know what to do at all times? Like, do you give them like an assignment? Is there already curriculum that they just go through? Like,
yes, I use the Better Practice app.
Okay.
So, and there's a lot of practice apps out there. Yeah. So it's assigned, and then there's little notes that I type in there, so they know exactly it's typed in, and they get the video from me. So
that makes sense.
They just log in there for all their practicing, and we have communication there too, a chat feature and stuff.
Okay. Nice. So like, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about with the offer, just to give some context? Because I think with a lot of teachers, they're probably thinking like most of them are just either just doing one-on-ones or just doing groups or something like that. You've got like a mixture of different things. Is there anything else that you provide that you feel like is different?
Once a month, we do a group performance class where they each perform a memorized song, and it's online, in a thing like this. And but we've been doing that for the last few years.
Yeah.
But they get to perform. They have to have a song memorized. They perform, and then we do some theory games and things together. So it's a little bit theory performance.
Nice.
That way they have a group, social thing.
Yeah. And I feel like the biggest need for a lot of teachers who are making that switch now, and this is something a lot of teachers don't admit, but I feel like is happening with a lot of teachers, and it's that loss of control, right? When you have like the one-on-one, it's so easy to give results because you're always there with the student, kind of hand holding them, especially when they're getting started. But in a model like this, it seems like the student would need to be a little more independent. How have you changed your pedagogy to help your students be more independent, because you still are getting great results with them?
I think the students that are independent kind of take off on their own. Like, I do have students show me, oh, I learned this, and they show me, and it wasn't part of their lesson. I've always got some of those. I've had some that showed up for the recital. Oh, I'm doing Scott Joplin's Maple Leaf Rag. I'm like, well, this will be great. I've never heard it. All right. So, and I'm really pretty flexible, but we do have our core of the stuff we have to go through, the method books and things. And then the students that need extra help, I tend to send videos, okay, you still didn't get it. Look, it's this finger. So the students that need more repetition get it, but the students that can do more independence have that too. So it's pretty flexible.
Nice.
Is that kind of what you were asking?
Yeah, it does. Because a lot of like, for us as teachers, we can't really like guarantee results. It's really based on the student, and it's up to us to be able to lead them
Well, yeah.
teach them those habits to be independent. But the reason why I love the hybrid model at the end of the day is that it forces us as teachers to be better leaders and to
Yeah.
influence our students, but
Yeah.
also it allows them, it gives them that environment to be independent, to help figure it out on their own. Sometimes the best way to learn is by jumping jumping
Yeah.
headfirst and just like figuring it out yourself. But
Yeah.
giving them
Yeah.
that opportunity in a safe spot where they can be able to mess up, they can be able to make mistakes. I think that's so important. So I'm glad
Yeah,
that
I love
you're
that.
doing that.
And it all kind of pivots, I think, on the paradigm shift that you helped me achieve, and that was the value of me as a teacher is not the information I disperse.
Yeah, can
Because
you
that
talk more about that?
information is everywhere. Yeah.
Like what was that shift that you had before and after for
Well,
yourself?
some of it is like in the one-on-one lessons, you're really like kind of guiding them right through, even to the point where I would, make sure their hand was correct and hands-on touching and their posture and everything like that. So I was really a little more controlling and had the music there. We could do what music I had, and it was part of the curriculum. But then that shift just hit me like, that's not my value in putting all this information in front of them. And then I think it's different for every teacher. Actually, what is my value? Is it going to be more motivating, like a cheerleader? Is it more like a leader? Is it? And one thing that kind of hit me too is that in today's world, I think students need help sifting through information, not given more information.
Yes.
You got to know what's good and what's not good, because you pick up scores that have really poor edits and things and poor fingering, and you have to know how do you get the best fingering for this, and you know what I mean. So you give them some real sound foundations. And anyway, that was just a game changer for me. And also, I think you said something, and I can't remember how you said it, so I'm paraphrasing, that it's the result they want. It's not my time.
Yeah.
Because the amount of time I spend with them is very, very small compared to what it used to be. But we're getting even better results. And really, do they care if they brought their student over once a year and I sprinkled fairy dust on them and they were a concert pianist? I mean,
I hope there's something out there.
That's a bizarre method, but do you know what I'm saying? It really, the method doesn't really matter. It's the result that they're looking for. And if I can, that's one nice thing about coaching too. You can talk about what they really want and help them achieve that. And that's more where my value is, rather than 30 minutes a week. And this is so structured. So
100%.
Thank you. Because those were two huge paradigm shifts for me that were just amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you like felt that for yourself, because that's the most important part. Like, I think all of us are like, I love working with so many teachers because I respect the amount of time and experience that you all have. Like, I'm always technically the least experienced teacher in the room because I just graduated in 2021, so it's like I only have 5 years or 6 years music education, right? And teaching experience. So just being able to see different teachers and see them and help them go through that experience of like feeling like a beginner teacher again. I think that's really important that teachers approach it that way, that they're open to being a beginner teacher again.
Yeah. And I'm sure every teacher is different, like what they hone in on the hybrid method, how they make it at their own. It's just kind of like being reborn again. Like my energy is so full for this because I mean, really on my teaching calendar, I moved to a different time zone. And so I ended up teaching from 4 p.m. till like 10 o'clock at night. It was kind of draining. And now I start at like 5 and I'm done by like 7:30, only 3 days a week, every other week. So there we go. I can't believe it. So week 2 and 4, nothing. And I'm able to just do the curriculum and stuff. And it really just energizes me.
I love it. So what's your experience been with like your, like actually making that shift? How did you approach your current families to doing that? Did you like, what
Well,
was that? What was that transition period like? Because I feel like it's a big stuck point for a lot of teachers.
It is. It
they're
is.
really
And it's
nervous about that.
nerve-wracking. I know the thoughts that go through your mind. And I've been doing this longer than you have. I've been teaching for over 40 years. So
Yeah.
I've gone through a lot of the ups and downs. And sometimes, you lose students, whether they grow up and move away or something, or they're just not practicing, they're just not clicking with you, and things like that happen. And then you have students that are there forever. So some of it is just, okay, let go. It's going to be okay. Those that leave are not meant to be here anymore. Those that stay are. But I approached it. I had decided and gone through in my head all how it was going to work over and over and over again. I was really excited, and it was the first of the year.
Uh-huh.
And so the way that I approached everyone was that there's a new system. We're having a new hybrid system, and I made a little video, and I just explained it just briefly. Okay. Kind of treetop, like not into a whole lot of depth, but I just said, I want this is an upgrade from regular lessons. Not everyone's going to qualify for the upgrade. So I'm not going to have as many students, and those that I don't think this is a good fit for, I'm going to be happy to recommend other teachers that you might be a really good fit for. And then,
Gotcha.
Then I sent them an email letting them know, I think this is a really good fit for you because, and I gave them some reasons. Because is a powerful word. I'm raising my rates because, or you fit because.
Yep.
And I got specific about what they'd done in the last year and how I thought they could handle more independence. And I thought, So I didn't have any quit. It was really pretty easy. I raised my rates a little bit at that time too. And some people, like the previous me, would have thought you're raising your rates and you're only giving them like a quarter of the time.
Yeah.
How is that fair? And some people think that. Well, how does that work? You're giving them less time and charging more. Like I said, it's the results. And it was. So did that kind of answer your question? That's how I approached
100%.
it. And, yeah.
I wanted to kind of share some of my thoughts with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because what I've learned too is that your rates is, it shouldn't be a reflection of the time that you put in, but it should be a reflection of your best state and your best energy. People pay you more for better quality teaching, right? Because like you said, if you could teach less, but people still get the result, that should be more valuable because they're not having to meet up every single week in order to get the same progress as someone who might have to do that because they're working with another teacher.
Right.
And there's a quote that's so important because this kind of like guides what I've been teaching to my clients for a while. And it's that you don't get burned out by the hours you work. You get burnt out by the core emotion and the energy that is fueling the work. So same thing goes like negative energy, but also like the positive energy too. If you have a schedule full of students who are just draining you, even if you just have like a day where you're teaching like 2 students, but those students really drain you, you're still gonna feel burnt out, even if you're teaching an hour for that day.
Yeah.
But same thing the other way too. If you have a bunch of students, but they all feel your energy, then you're not gonna feel tired after that. You're not gonna feel burnt out because of that. So having a high price, like, they should be paying you for your best state.
That's really profound.
Yeah, this is it could also, if you're also doing one-on-one lessons for anyone watching that those prime time spots, they're like 3 to 6 afternoon, like maybe that's your best time teaching. You can make those times more expensive because it is when you're going to show up your best for your students. And I feel like that is the way that I'm thinking about pricing now. It's that, if I'm paying my coach, I'm paying for their best coaching,
right?
The best space where they can coach the best in there.
Yeah. Before COVID, when we had the live studio, that was how we did our pricing. And that's a really great way also to raise your rates. It's kind of a gentle thing. Like they're only being raised for this time slot. So if you don't want to pay more, you can move to another time slot.
Yeah.
But this time slot is $50 a month higher or whatever it is. And it's a gentle
Uh-huh.
way to ease into raising your rates too. That's another idea. So I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Did you so going through this transition, obviously you figured out a lot of stuff on your own as well. Is there any like surprising challenges or anything that you didn't expect?
Yes, but they were little things. Like,
Yeah, like what?
just like, okay, you start out, okay, they're going to send a video. And then I realized, okay, we can't do everything in one video. So just send your lesson book in one and then make another one with your technique. So I could just watch that video and then respond to that.
Yeah.
And then, and more advanced students have longer things. So just figuring out the logistics of things that I didn't anticipate. But that's kind of the fun of it too. It's this whole new world, discovering, okay, that didn't really work like I thought. Let's pivot a little bit and come up with something new. But I agree with what you said, that giving my best energy, because I'm so energized and enjoying it so much that it's awesome. I have a little girl, she just turned 4, and she's doing Note Rush. I'm sure you're familiar with the Note Rush. And I made little tracking sheets. And so in their assignments, they have to do this one, and then they have to do this one. And her mom said that's kind of a challenge for her, but she sends a little text with a picture of her holding up her tracking sheet. Oh, and it's just cute little cheeks. I just wish I was there to just squish her. And she holds that up, and it's like, so I send off back a little GIF of like, wow, and then she loves that. So I get more touch points with the students during the week, like a text here and a video that I send here, and then in the Better Practice app. And so I don't feel like we're losing any relationship time either.
Yeah.
But yeah, then when I see her on video, I get so excited, and it's easy to have this energy because I love it. I just love it now.
Yeah.
And it was getting a little draining.
This like the big reason why I'm like such a big proponent of this is of like the hybrid model is because I wish I had this when I was in college as well, because I explored different areas, but I didn't know the right skill set, like the right skill set and the right mindset to have around all of this too. Because I did one-on-one lessons while I was in I was teaching one-on-one lessons while in college, but then I started experimenting with group lessons too with my students. And then I also did you ever use Tonara back in the day?
Oh yeah. That's what I used.
Yeah.
Till they left.
Yeah. So I was using that too. And I had like group chats like created with my students in different small groups. And it would be fun like seeing them like send videos back and forth. So I was doing a little bit of that, but I didn't know how to make it sustainable. Mostly because I didn't have the level of pedagogy, but more importantly, like the level of leadership that is needed as well. And I think that's like a big skill that a lot of teachers, it's almost like you don't know what you need until you get it. And I feel like that's what I needed back in the day. It's a higher level of leadership with my students in order to make it successul as well. So like for you, how do you feel like you've grown as a teacher like through this process?
Oh, well, lots. In getting really creative. And we've talked before, I moved out here to rural. Like I live in a forest, and internet reception wasn't great. I was on one bar and it would kick me out of classes all the time. It was so frustrating. So I had to get real creative to use that. Now we have fiber optics, so it's just glorious again. But adding the coaching is a whole new aspect for me. So I'm growing a lot that way too. And having to, like, it's the end of the year. So in my coaching calls, we're all, what do we want to do for the following year? And we're going to set some yearly goals. And I have 2 adults that both said they wanted to practice more consistently. So I get to kind of think, and they don't know this yet, but I'm going to suggest to them that they become accountability partners because they both have the same goal. And so that's new stuff. It's like coming up with new ways to do the coaching. So that's fun and growth for me.
I love that. I know for me, like one thing that I've learned about leadership this year is one, having trust in myself, having self-belief. But something I didn't realize too, that's a big part of it, is having belief in others. And that's what I've been like practicing for this year. It's like trusting that in a lot of different senses. One, for our students, trusting that our students can be able to figure it out on their own, right? We just need to be the person that just says, hey, if no one else believes you, like, I'm going to be the person that is going to believe you. And giving them that self-belief to them is really the best thing that we can do as leaders. Like, trusting them that they can figure it out on their own as well, that they don't need us, is the best way to help them become independent. But also for our like prospects and the people in our audience as well, trusting that there is always going to be a student out there that is the best fit for you, that matches your standards and your boundaries that you put on yourself, especially when we go through different seasons of life, when we need to have higher standards, higher boundaries for ourselves. A lot of times we don't enforce that because we believe that, like, because our current students aren't matching that level of energy that we need to have in our studio. We feel like if we enforce our boundaries, we're gonna get rid of those that don't match it.
Yeah.
But like, kind of like what you said, whereas like there's always students coming and going, right? Having the belief that there's always going to be someone out there that matches your standards, that wants to buy based on those standards and boundaries you put on yourself, like, that has been able to help me continue to keep going.
That's cool. I think that's where I'm trying to grow more now, is in that leadership thing as a coach,
Yeah.
And that's a whole new world. And that was really profound, what you said. That's really good.
Thank you. I'd love to hear more about, like, I've personally heard a little bit about this already, but like, for you, like, your why and your vision for the studio, like for your piano studio, like, what is that fuel that keeps you going? Because there needs to be a lot of it for you to make this big leap.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Well, in my big why, like, personally, I think it kind of stems from your personal life, because your why is your lifestyle. That's what you want, right? And I love teaching, so I don't really ever see completely not teaching, but I can see scaling it down. And if you're charging enough that you don't have to teach as many, you're not as drained. And the reason we moved out here so rural and bought such a big plot of property was that we want to do like a homestead and a small farm. So that takes a lot of work, apparently. And so we're starting into that, but I need to have more time. And another thing that I do on Marco Polo, I started a little sharecast. And that's the thing where I can put out a video to the group, but if they respond, it only comes to me. So it's not like they they don't talk to each other. But I'll play pieces for my students, which I didn't used to nearly as much. And I take them around the farm, and I've showed them my chickens, and then I showed them when we upgraded the coop, and I showed them the new coop and what we did, and I show them my dogs, and the kids love it. And that is more of one of those touch points that they get to see kind of my behind the scenes, what's going on. So that's really the lifestyle. Once everything shut down with COVID, we had over 100 students in the studio. We had employees, and then we didn't. Like everybody, all of a sudden things changed overnight. And you remember those 2 weeks to flatten the curve that turned into 3 weeks and 4 weeks. And after,
I remember the freeway was like empty during that time.
After about 2 months of just winging it, we sat down. My husband and I, we were business partners, and he taught in the studio with me. And we sat down and decided, this looks like it's going to be longer. I can invest the time to recreate a new system for online, or we can just keep winging it and hope we go back soon. And so we kind of decided to just create the new system, but I was not going back. If I invested all this time, we're not going back. This is how we're doing it. And so we decided to do that, partly because then being completely online afforded us the ability to move out of the big city where we were out here into the country.
Nice.
That was all kind of part of that. And then now we're stuck. It's like, it's online. So,
they took down all the trees. It's too late. You can't refund that.
Yeah. So we're making it work. But again, I needed time and I needed energy. I couldn't just be drained after teaching all those students, you know? So
yeah, so it's more on like the life that you wanted to live.
yeah.
Right. This is leading towards like being
Yeah.
able to have this whole property and
it
being
gives
able
me
to teach in
more,
that way.
like I told you, I love doing the curriculum, and we have that theory program should be ready like March, but that's going to be the things that I just never got time to work on, that kind of stuff. And so
Yeah.
now I'm completing these things, and those are going to really create more of a residual income, so I won't have to like,
Nice.
and I'll be able
So
to
that's
keep
like
teaching.
what the plan is for the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
Nice. Like what was that? Yeah. What was 2024 Connie look like? What else are you working on besides the theory program?
Oh, super fun. We're having a series of little children's books using the characters that are in my piano program.
Okay. Okay.
And so there's the first one is called Pigs Don't Play the Piano. So it's gonna
That's
be
cute.
fun. Yeah. So publishing these books that kind of go along with that, and then getting that theory program up and running. And then there will be surprises for that, I'm sure, that I need to tweak and figure out. So
Nice.
yeah.
Cool. I love that. I love that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Like, I guess the last question I usually like to ask is like, if you were to go back to like younger Connie, the back then, like what advice would you give her?
Oh my goodness. Depends on how young we're talking. Like, because I started teaching like when I was 14, you know, and I was
think like pre-COVID, Connie.
okay, pre-COVID. That's a little closer. Yeah, that was. Oh my goodness, it was. That's a good one. Well, one thing, probably don't make it so complex. It just was like, we had it in our home. It was the upper level of our home, but we had employees and we had teaching assistants. We had theory teachers, and we were bringing in violin and all that was great. Like, but it was really hard to scale because it was pretty darn complex. Do you know what I mean?
What was like the most complex part about it? Was it just like communicating between everyone, or?
Yes. And I don't think even though we had our mission statement and we tried, I don't think you can ever have employees and branching out like that, a group of people that all have the exact same vision. You know what I mean? So you're having to you have to learn to treat employees like employees, and this is what I need you to do. And, you know, it just was a lot of time it wasn't my creative energy. It wasn't where I loved spending my time, but I was more managing and creating music school stuff.
Yeah.
Taxes and payroll and all that kind of stuff. It just was so much more complicated. So I would say like, oh, girlfriend, chill out and make it simple, you know?
That's a huge learning lesson right there. I feel like it doesn't, like, a lot of teachers don't really see that because not everyone is trying to build like a big music school with a bunch of teachers. But that's okay. Right. And I feel like the biggest problem that I'm trying to solve here is that you don't need to go down that route if it's not your jam. Some people, it is their jam, and that's awesome. Some teachers don't, but then the problem then goes, okay, if I can't have a big music school, then what do? I just have to settle. And that's the problem that I felt a lot in college, because, you know, I'm doing my college degree. Like, I don't know anything about hiring people. I don't know. I don't know how to like find a physical location and start renting it out to people.
Yeah.
I had like my juries to worry about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
and like back then, my only option was just to settle.
Right.
Just to settle with being capped, like settle with being burnt out. Either that or just like losing income because I had to like let go of students because
you could only make as much money as the students that you could take. So I always felt like I had to take on more students. In fact, if I wanted something and it was going to cost so much, I always thought of that in number of students that I had to get. All right, I need to get 3 more students, and then I can, Yeah.
And then this whole like culture thing that I was like kind of brought into when I started like connecting with other piano teachers when I was in college. Like, everyone is there's that golden 40 students number, like the 40, like, oh, you got to get to 40 students and then you get a wait list. And I felt like, I was like, first off, there's like no way back then where I could have taught 40 students.
Oh yeah.
Because
in college?
I was already, yeah, in college.
Yeah.
As a music major.
Oh my
where
gosh.
It's like
no.
all my friends are doing like 3-4 classes a week. And they're like, oh, there's so much time. But then me, I'm doing like 10-11 classes.
Plus you're practicing
like most of them are
time.
rehearsal practicing. Yeah. So it's just like, there's a lot of like external things that we can't control in our lives, because whether it's like a degree that you're going through, you may have a family, you may have a spouse, you may have kids, you may have another passion that you're trying to pursue as well. And, you know, I just love being able to show that like, hey, teaching is a viable path that you can go down towards. Like this is, I'm so glad it's allowed you to now have time to work on your theory books and your curriculums as well.
Well, and you know, by doing it this way, I think I'll be able to teach a lot longer than I would have the other way. I'm just not going to be that burned out.
Exactly. Yeah, but appreciate you for sharing, Connie.
Like, you are so welcome.
Yeah, this has been extremely, extremely valuable, not just for me, but I know for every single teacher.
Well, thank you for those genuine, I mean, you spent time with me and I appreciated it so much. And those gems that I got from you that really just set my mind on fire and helped me shift things around. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So for you, where can people find you? Like, do you have like do you feel like the website's the best place to reach out to? For any teachers or students watching this, like where can they find you and contact you?
Probably on like my YouTube channel, which is Music Mentory.
Oh, nice.
And I mean, all the curriculum's on Amazon if they're interested in checking it out there. And I'm on Facebook, so
cool. I'll get all of that from you.
Okay.
I'll put it in the video.
Okay.
Sweet. I just want to say thank you again. And if anyone wants to chat with Connie, feel free to connect with her.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to talk more about scaling your studio without having to teach like the 40 students a week type of traditional studio, then feel free to reach out to me as well. I'll put down some resources in the description as well.
That would be awesome.
But yeah. Appreciate you, Connie.
You are so welcome. Thank you.